I'm actually streaming right now, but I wanted to make a video um, going over uh, the different kind of glyphs, if you want to call them that, the runes that give you the stat bonuses or whatever for Vi for your rune page. And I want to go over Jungle Clear a little bit, since that's two things that people have been talking about and asking about a lot, and I've had it on my mind as well. So right now, as of right now, this moment, this is my kind of standard rune page, but I also sometimes take magic resist, just because the jungle clear, like, there were times where the jungle kind of like kicked your ass really hard, but right now, it doesn't do like that much damage to you. Like, the clear is pretty healthy, so it's not necessary to take the armor. Like, the armor helps against the jungle, right, and the minions and the towers, so it's always a solid choice. Honestly, you could take it literally every game if you want, even if the team's heavy on AP. But because the jungle is less of a threat right now, I feel like taking the EMR is actually not bad if you're against like an AP jungler and mid and support and whatever. Like, it's a decent choice. And there's always the tenacity as well. But the tenacity, when I take it, I find, like, I'm actually going to switch this one, for example. Like, I find that without the alacrity, my attack speed just feels really weird for the entire game. Like, I'm not used to the attack speed loss, so I think the games where I take the tenacity, which is definitely good some games, although you should heavily weigh your options. Like, if you're planning to go Merc Treads quickly, then maybe you don't need the tenacity, even though you need it, but you're going to get through Merc Treads, so you can go Alacrity anyways or something. I don't know. So consider that, I guess. But yeah. And then you can go, right, you can go the attack speed with the tenacity to kind of make up for it, as opposed to the ability haste. But the other option here is the adaptive force, and that's what I was taking for a long time as well. And I still think the adaptive force is really good and everything, but you have to consider, and the reason why I'm kind of trying, I'm playing with and think might be decent the ability haste right now, is because, like, this used to be 1% CDR all the way to 10% CDR from like level 1 to level 18 or whatever. Now it's just 8, which kind of sucked because, you know, these little stat bonus things, especially like rune pages in general, but especially these three things, are just like, they're really for like your early game. Like, they're just little blocks of free stats that kind of like buff you up a little bit depending on what you want for the game, for the character you're playing and everything. So the fact that it's scale was always kind of weird to me, but now this is just literally 8 ability haste, and 8 ability haste is right off the bat at the beginning of the game. I did some calculations using this like CDR ability haste calculator I found on Google, which is a little bit weird, but you can play around with that just to look at the or the y-axis and the x-axis to try to match up how much ability haste would equal to how much CDR. This is what I looked at. I'm sure you can find other things as well. But I played around with that a little bit, and I find 8 ability haste is an instant 7.4% CDR, but it scales off. Like, after you have, let's say, your Sunder, this isn't kind of my common build right now. It's been recently like Sunder and Hydra. I've been playing with other things a little bit and trying other stuff out, but I think this is a solid build, so that's what I've been going a lot of games. Once you got your Divine Sunder, it's 20%, 20 ability haste, so now it's only, that would be 16.6, but with 28, it's 21.9, so it's only worth 5.3 at that point. And then once you've got your Hydra, it's 48 ability haste as opposed to 40, which is only 2.9. So it's kind of scales off. So it's strongest early and then kind of scales off. But even like 3% CDR is not that bad, you know? And almost 8% CDR is pretty decent. Like, if you think about it, you know, this Dyne Adaptive Force is 5.4 AD. Would you rather have like 7.4% CDR or 5.4 AD? Well, honestly, in a lot of cases, maybe the 5.4 AD might be good too, honestly. Like, but in terms of stat value and everything, the 7.4% CDR, 5.3% CDR, 2.9% CDR is pretty valuable. Like, it's as valuable or more valuable than the AD in terms of just raw value and everything. I still think the AD is really good, and the attack speed's always an okay choice too, but for me, it's definitely between these two. And I think that having the ability haste opens up more options, that it's a little bit less easy to tell. Like, if you have a little bit more AD or a little bit less AD, it's like, oh, I couldn't get that kill, or oh, I could get that kill, or whatever, or I couldn't kill that thing in time or whatever. But with the ability haste, it's more subtle. It's like, okay, I was able to cast an extra Q here, or I was able to get my E again here, or I was able to get like my R off here or whatever. Like, it's really more subtle, but like, you could definitely make a strong case for this. So I've been kind of playing around with it right now. And the other thing I want to show you guys in this video is I wanted to go through my jungle clears, since I know a lot of people have been asking about that and commenting on that. And I tried out a lot of jungle clears. I tried out a lot of jungle clears on the last 2 patches as well, you know, with everything. But things changed a little bit this patch. I don't know if you guys saw the new patch notes. I haven't made a video for that yet, but I'm sure you guys, most of you guys have at least taken a little bit of a look at that, or at least heard about some stuff about it. They nerfed the jungle item a little bit. Now the nerf they did basically was when the jungle item, when you hit something with an auto or an ability, it starts doing like a damage or a time effect or whatever, and you know, 10 damage per second, let's say, or whatever. Hold on a second. So but it also used to do an on hit, like if it's 10 damage per second, let's say, it scaled up a little bit over the game, but barely at all. But let's say it's 10 damage per second. You also did an extra 10 damage per auto attack, like an on hit 10 damage to jungle camps. They got rid of that for whatever reason, so it's just a nerf for like all junglers basically, but the junglers who auto attack the most get nerfed a little bit more than the ones who auto attack less, which is weird because in the patch notes they said that it was supposed to be a nerf for AoE junglers, so I don't really know what they were thinking. They said AoE junglers are clearing too well. In any case, so the clear has changed slightly and has slowed down slightly. It's like maybe a few percent slower, but 5% slower on average-ish. And Vi is definitely impacted by this a little bit more than some other junglers. Like, she's not impacted the most, but she's impacted a bit more than some. But she's still pretty decent. Her clear is still solid and everything. It's not the best in the game, but it's solid, you know. So no big deal. Just a few seconds more. So this is like my actual times versus what I think I could have gone if I did it perfect. So what I do for testing jungle clears is I get the auto refresh cooldown. So I smite it twice because, you know, normally I would have like my bot laners or top laner or whatever helping you with the jungle camp. So I just smite it twice really quickly, and then after that I just play it like normal. So here, what I've been doing recently is I smite it right away, and then I make sure that my E hits both of them. You have to get your E to hit both of them. It's really important. And then after that, you can switch on to the medium one, hit the other medium one here. And then you switch off of this one, you kill the 2 little ones, and the other one gets finished off. And then you auto this one more time, and then you finish off this last one. They walk a little bit faster than you, so you can walk away as you're hitting them too. That's how you do the golems. That's the best way of doing it in my experience. And then for this, you go here. Oh, whoops, I missed it. I was supposed to do 3 autos onto one. It's not a big deal though. And then I focus down the big one until this auto, and then I go on to another one. And then it's just like 1 auto onto the 3 of them. I did it slightly incorrectly, but it's not a big deal. And you don't have to back into it, by the way. You can like pull it out a little bit as you're doing it. But you kind of like the Raptors, the way that the Raptors kind of close in on you can like vary a little bit from game to game. So you kind of just figure it out as you go, honestly. So yeah, and then the Wolves, I just get my 2 E's off, and I finish it off. And then here at the blue buff, you can either smite the blue buff if you want, or you can save your smite for the Scuttle Crab. So I'll just smite the blue buff and we'll end the clear here. So the blue buff's done now and I can start Scuttle Crab. So that was about 317. I think that could have been like 315 or whatever, and that's the bot side clear. I can go do a top side clear now as well. And I'll show you guys how I do that. I have to wait just a little bit. It won't let me get into another practice tool for a second. It'll let me get in about like 10 seconds. So yeah, the Raptors were slightly off there, but you know, you probably get the general idea. That's how you would clear from bot side. Normally you would have a leash, but yeah. And you'll see like this is with the ability haste. I ended at 317 there. I could have had about 315. Yeah, if I hadn't messed up the Raptors, it would have been about 315. So that's about right. And you can see like the clear speed's almost the exact same for all of them. Some people say like I need the attack speed because it helps my clear speed, and I know for some characters that's definitely true. Like some characters you really do benefit a lot from the attack speed for your clear speed, but you gotta like test it out and play around with it and see, you know, what it actually looks like. You know, you can't just say that. You have to understand like if it's actually helping or how much it's actually helping. And you can see here, The ability haste isn't the fastest. The adaptive force is actually the fastest. And the reason why is because it's saving you some autos. The attack speed might be making your autos faster, but the adaptive is saving you autos. So it actually ends up being the best in both categories, which are slightly different clears. So that's why the timing is different. But it ends up being the best in both categories by a bit. It's just a couple seconds. And then the attack speed and the ability haste are almost the same. The attack speed, I think, is very slightly faster than the ability haste. The ability haste gets you like 1 more E or 2 more E's or whatever, and the attack speed gets you like a couple more autos or whatever, so that's kind of the difference. But like, if I want to get the pure fastest one, the adaptive force is the best. But if I'm gonna like, you know, slow myself down by like 2-3 seconds, which is not good, you actually do want to be as fast as you can when it comes to stuff in League of Legends usually, but that's not a huge difference. If I'm gonna sacrifice 2-3 seconds for the ability haste, then I think that's not actually a bad trade. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sacrifice 2-3 seconds just to have some attack speed. Like if I'm doing this, if I was taking these for fights, like for fighting, if I'm fighting in the jungle or I'm going for a gank or whatever, the ability haste is maybe the best one, or the adaptive force. I wouldn't want the attack speed because like when I'm fighting and I'm ganking and stuff, I'm usually just Q auto-Eing people, maybe getting like Q auto-E and then they flash away and then auto them one more time or whatever. Like the attack speed's barely doing anything for that. It's just making it go a tiny bit faster maybe, or making me feel a little bit better about my autos. Like the ability haste is making my cooldowns come up more often. The adaptive force is making my damage just straight up higher by like 20 damage or whatever for a full combo. Like, so here's same thing again. Normally I pull blue out as I'm doing it. I'll show you guys my clear on the, this is purple team and starting blue buff. So I like to just pull out the Gromp by smiting it. This isn't necessary, it's a cool little trick, but you don't need to. You can honestly use your smite wherever you want. You can use it on the wolves, you can use it on the raptors, you can use it wherever. Like, I just like to do this little trick with the Gromp because I think that like it's maybe the best way of doing it, but the one thing with a Gromp is like for your second E, you'll want to wait a little bit before using it. And here too, you can wait a little bit before using your second E, because if you do, then you can get a little bit more DOT onto the little wolves over here. Whoops. And then the wolves move quite a bit faster than you, so you can actually kite them as you're running out. Now you have a choice here. You can go red and then raptors, or you can go raptors and then red. I'm going to go raptors and then red. It's going to slow me down a little bit there because I like stopped for a second. Hitting all of them is possible, but it's really tough. And you want to make sure you wait until you've done all your damage ticks on the other little ones, because like otherwise they don't all die. So be careful about that. Unless you take the adaptive, you need all the damage ticks to go through before you do your second E. And then you go to the red buff. Now you might want to do red buff and then raptors and then go to scuttle. If you feel like, you know, contesting scuttle or whatever, you feel like you can do a scuttle. But if your lanes are in a really bad spot, or you just want to clear your jungle and you don't want to go into the river or anything, or you want to recall and go to the bot scuttle or something maybe, then this is totally fine. And then here your smite would just be coming back up, so you can smite the big golem there, you can focus, you can hit the other one like once and then focus the big one. I actually messed that up slightly, but it doesn't really matter, you'll see, it's not a big deal. So yeah, that's about, the golems are a little bit messed up. I could have started casting Q here a little sooner or whatever, but this is about right for a purple side full clear. Now keep in mind though, like I might have wanted to go to the red buff and then the raptors and then move to the scuttle if I feel like looking for it or fighting for it. Like maybe my lanes are in a good spot for it, or like I have a strong mid or a strong top or whatever. But sometimes it looks like that, and then you go for this, and then you realize, like, actually, no, my mid lane's, like, just suddenly got fucked over or whatever, or my top lane just got fucked over, so you actually can't. And then you have to really be, like, mature about it and just back out of the jungle, maybe back out of the river, maybe place a ward or whatever. You can use your vision plan if you want, and then go clear your golems and go back, or look for a top gank or whatever, because, like, that does happen, and you have to be careful, because you don't want to get into a fight in the river that you don't actually want to get into. I didn't even go over the river here. Or I guess I did. Like, you just like clear your bot side and you move up, and then you can take the scuttle here. And then if you can't fight over the scuttle, no big deal. You like, let's say your mid lane's in a really bad spot or whatever, that's okay. You can just go take your Gromp, and then you can go back, and then you can go to the bot side scuttle or the golems or whatever, or you can look for a gank or whatever. So that's what it would look like on the other side. So that's my jungle clear with Vi right now on this patch. I think it's 10.25 we're at right now. That's kind of what it looks like, and that's kind of what I'm looking at for my runes. And one more thing that I'm sure people will probably write in the comments and whatever is like people will be asking about Electrocute versus, you know, Hail Blades or some other runes. Like if you guys want to see me, you know, trying out or discussing other rune choices, I'll probably make another video for that at some point. I know a lot of people like asking about Hail Blades, and I definitely think Hail Blades is an okay choice, but we can go more into that some other time. What I really want to talk about was just like the majority of the other runes and everything in the clear for this video. So I hope you guys find this helpful, and yeah, I'm gonna get back to my my games now.